Okay. Okay, today we're going to look at factoring trinomials. In the first term, we learned to multiply binomials like x plus 5 times x plus 6. And we learned to multiply them. If the x gets multiplied by x, that's called the first product. Then the x gets multiplied by 6, that's called the outside product. Then the 5 gets multiplied by x, that's called the inside product. And the last product is 5 times 6, which is 30 here. Okay, there's 4 products altogether every time you multiply a binomial. The first, outside, inside, and last, and we call that FOIL. Now the outside and the inside products, 6x and 5x, they're called like terms. So we can put them together and you get 11x. This x squared and 11x and 30 is called a trinomial because there's 3 things there. The x plus 5 and the x plus 6, that whole bracket is called a factor. So x plus 5 is a factor, x plus 6 is a factor. But if you were given the trinomial first, x squared plus 11x plus 30, and then you are asked to factorize, then the answer would be x plus 5 times x plus 6. So if you take x squared plus 11x plus 30 and then write down the 2 factors in brackets, that's called factorizing. So maybe you see that factoring is just the opposite of multiplying. It's just like going backwards. But what if you didn't know the answer? And like, how would you work backwards to factorize? How do you do that? Well, there's many different methods you can use. I like to use this method that really thinks about FOIL, that thinks about the 4 products. So say you have x squared plus 11x plus 30. Well, the first product is x squared. So you always write down 2 brackets. And if it's just x squared, if there's no number in front of the x squared, just a 1, we'd say, then you know it's got to be x and x. So you just write x and x. If it's a positive number, it must be a plus and a plus. Now you know that these 2 numbers you put in here, they have to multiply to equal 30. So you just pick 2 numbers that multiply to equal 30. It could be 1 and 30, it could be 3 and 10, but you know to choose 5 and 6. But why did I choose 5 and 6 here? Why does it work? Well, it worked. The 2 numbers have to combine to equal 11. What it is the x times the 6 plus the 5 times the x, they have to combine 5x and 6x to equal the 11x. That's always true. The outside and the inside products always have to equal this linear term in the middle to make the thing work. They must combine to equal 11x. Okay. The examples that follow, all of the examples that we're going to look at right now, have x squared with a coefficient of 1. If this number gets different, it gets a little harder, but we're going to start off with 1. Well, here's our first example. Just go through them pretty quickly. We keep doing exactly the same thing. We've got x squared plus 8x plus 12. Well, there's x and x. It must be a plus and a plus. The only way they could all be plus. Now with 12, we've got 3 things we could choose from. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. There's 3 sets of factors to choose from, but hey, they've got to combine to equal 8. So that's why I choose 2 and 6. You see the inside is 2 times x. The outside is x times 6 or 6x. And they combine to equal 8x. That's why it works. That's why we choose 2 and 6. Okay, let's look at this one. Hey, this is 18. Well, you think, okay, it could be 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. We know we put x and x just the same. But the minus 18 there, that negative 18, means it's got to be a positive times a negative, or a negative times a positive. You got to put a plus and a minus somewhere. Okay, but you see this minus 7x. It means the numbers must combine to equal minus 7x. Well, 1 and 18 and 3 and 6, they'll never combine to equal 7. So it must be 2 and 9. And because it's minus 7x, it sort of makes sense to put the 9 here. The minus 9x plus 2x, that equals minus 7x. We have to understand a number line and how to combine negatives and positive. But we choose the ones that combine to equal the minus 7x. The minus 9x plus 2x, that gives me the minus 7x. And that's why that's your answer. With the negatives, it's a little bit harder. Let's try the last one. Now this one here, it says x squared minus 9x plus 20. We want to factorize it. Well, if it's plus 20 and that's negative, it's got to be two negatives. So that's part of the problem. All the things that multiply to equal 20, 1 times 20, 2 times 10. The only way we're going to get 9 is with 4 and 5. And we know it has to be both minus and minus. And if we check it, we can see the outside minus 4x, 5x, the inside minus 4x, that combines to equal minus 9x. That's why that's your answer. Down here, you'll be looking at all these questions. You're going to get all these notes sent to you. This video is just here to kind of help us through this thing. That's it. That's the end of the video. I'm going to stop recording now.